Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Oh, welcome to Before the Dirt Nap, day number 1333. And tonight's episode is entitled, Did You Know? I was going to say, Did you know? But that's, do you know where you're going to? So I thought it would be fun because I found this interesting article today that on this day in history, so 23rd of March in 1839, the initials OK were first published in the Boston Morning Post for the very first time, and it was put there to cover a spelling mistake for all correct, and all correct was spelled O-L-L, new word, Korrect. And it was put in the paper as the letter initials OK to cover that spelling mistake. So I thought that was kind of an interesting little. I thought, what other fun facts can we come up with? Well, I found another one on this day in history. So on the 23rd of March in 1998, Titanic won 11 Oscars. They swept the Oscars with 11 wins. Which tied them with Ben-Hur, which came out in 1959. I thought that is so cool. And Titanic ended up with 14 nominations, which tied All About Eve, which was a movie that came out in the 1950s. And I'm like, okay, here we are in looking at it now, I'm like thinking, okay, that movie came out, let's see, Titanic was released just before Christmas in 1997. And within 6 months, it became the first movie to gross over $1 billion internationally. I thought that is so cool. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, I like the movie. In fact, I haven't seen that for a while. I might have to go dig that one out. But to think that it took all that year, so from 1950 to 1998 is 48 years, for a movie to be nominated as many times as a movie that was released that came out in 1950. And then this movie, The Titanic, in 1998, won 11 Oscars, which tied them with Ben-Hur, which came out in 1959, so almost 40 years later. I'm like, wow, when you think about that, there must have been something pretty special about that movie to have, because when you think of all the movies that came out in between, there were some great movies that came out between, 1950 with All About Eve and 1959 with Ben-Hur. There were some great movies that came out, but it took almost 40 years for a movie to come as close, to tie All About Eve with 14 nominations and to win 11 Oscars and tie with Ben-Hur. I was just like, I really don't fathom that one. I'm sorry. I just don't fathom that one. So I thought those were two really cool things that happened on this day in history. The word okay being used in 1839, being the first one. And I thought, but what else? And so I kept reading the article about about okay in there. But what struck me in this article is that it talked about that during the 1830s, so almost 200 years ago, okay, we're not far off 200 years ago, so 90 whatever. Let's see, we're in, so 93 years ago, it was a favorite. 193 years ago, it was a favorite practice among younger educated circles to misspell words intentionally, then abbreviate them and use them as slang when talking to one another. And I thought, that happened in the 1830s? And yet you think about these kids today that are going around and then, they've got all the texting thing, they've got these abbreviations down. It's nothing new. They were doing it back in the 1830s, 193 years ago. And I was just sort of like, that's just, you don't realize how long, you think that that's something that's new, but when you look back in history, it's not. So like popular abbreviations they included was KY for no use, but they spelt no use NOWYUSE. And no go was and KG was for no go, spelled NOWGO. And then OW was for all right, spelled OLLWRIGHT. And I'm thinking about, this. I mean, I see TikTok videos where somebody's trying to pronounce somebody's name and somebody turns around and says, oh, it's Emily or something like that. And I can't remember. And they put up the letters that this name was. And I'm just like, okay, so this is actually nothing new. They were doing it back in the 1830s. And if we go back further in history, we may even find times further back than the 1830s where they used to do a similar thing, misspell words and put them in as abbreviations and things. So I thought that was kind of interesting to discover that. So this is why I thought, maybe today we'll do a did you know on, just some fun facts and things. So if you have any fun facts, drop them in the comments below, because I'm always curious to learn. Wow, I did not know that. Okay, I just read one that I didn't know. I've got to go check it out, because I'm not sure that there actually is a place called that. I know it's definitely in New Zealand, but this thing that I just saw shows that it's actually also in the United States as the longest place name. And it's actually a Maori place name, which is the name of a hill in New Zealand. And when I put it into the Google Maps, it comes up as a hill in New Zealand. So, there is a hill in New Zealand that has the longest place name in the world with 57 characters. It is a Maori name. I can fudge my way through it, but I'm not going to, because then I would upset the Maori people, and I don't want to, because it's been a long time since I have spoken Maori, and I know that there's some things that they have changed in the way they pronounce things, so I don't want to offend the Maori population by trying to pronounce this name. But it's got 57 letters in it, and it is a Maori name, and it's the name of a hill in New Zealand. But this fact here says the longest place name in the United States is this, which is also a name of a hill in New Zealand. I'm like thinking, I don't think so. So let's do some did you knows. Did you know the shortest war in history lasted only 38 minutes, and it was fought between the countries of Zanzibar and Great Britain in 1896? I'm like, okay. The first recorded selfie. So you know how we all stand there with our phones and go, hi, click, click, click. I'll tell you a story about that in a moment. The first recorded selfie was taken in 1839 by a photographer named Robert Cornelius. Now, my story about the selfie is when I was in Vegas one time, I was in the RV. Yeah, we were in the RV because my mum and dad were watching it as well. And we're in the RV. I don't know, maybe Brad was driving us. So that would have been in 2004. Yeah, 2014. We're in the Yukon, and Mum and Brad and Dad are sitting up front there. Mum and I are in the back, and there was I can't remember where we were by, but there was a girl standing there next to this water feature, and she's all like, pose, take a picture, take a selfie. Then she turn her phone this way and take selfies, and I'm doing all this and over the shoulder, and trying to do things. And then as guys would walk past, if the guy was with a girl, she didn't say anything. But if it was just a guy by himself or a group of guys by themselves, just a group of guys, she would actually stop them and ask them to take some pictures of her in front of this feature with her phone. And I thought, okay, but all she's doing was just standing there and just posing and taking photographs. And I don't know how many photographs she ended up with, but in the short time we were there, she stopped probably about 5 males. And this is why we're waiting for a light to change. She stopped about 5 males and asked them to take pictures. And then she got into a conversation with them. And I don't know, I guess she was there to pick up guys. I don't know. But she was taking all these different selfies and things. And so, yeah, not sure what was going on there. But it was kind of interesting just to see her just standing there taking all these selfies and then getting guys to take pictures of her with her own phone. Not even inviting them to take a picture with her. I was like, that's a little weird, but whatever. Did you know a group of flamingos is called a flamboyance? And I thought, yeah, that goes with the pink. I can do that. I can do that one. The shortest commercial flight in the world is only 1.7 miles long and takes just 1 minute and 20 seconds. I saw that and I thought, is that from liftoff to touch? It must got to be from liftoff to touchdown, or maybe, but it runs between the Scottish islands of Westray and Papa Westray. And I'm just like thinking, does that 1 minute and 20 seconds include takeoff and landing, or is it just from the moment the plane like taxiing down the run, going down the runway to take off and all that? But it must just be from when it takes off to when it lands. I thought 1 minute and 20 seconds, and I wonder how. And I'm like, I wonder how much that one would cost for 1 minute and 20 seconds on a plane. Probably it's the quickest. It will definitely be the quickest way to get there, but I wonder if you can actually get there by water, because you obviously can't get there by driving, because why would you have a plane? Did you know the shortest complete sentence in the English language is I am? Very simple, very straightforward. The world's largest snow maze is located in Warren, Vermont, and covers 5 acres. I love mazes. I love the 3D mazes that you can walk through. I've been through corn mazes. I've been through hedge mazes. I've never been through a snow maze. I'm going to put that one on the list because that sounds really cool. Not just cool as in temperature, but awesome to do. I don't know where my head is at today. My head is all over the place today. I've got no idea where it is. Let's see. And I've done a wooden one as well, because there is a place in New Zealand, Wanaka, which is down in the South Island, and they have a place there that's called the Puzzling World. Now, it originally just started off with a whole bunch of fence posts and slats of wood that went across where you couldn't see through, and you probably had about, I don't know, a 2-foot gap underneath the bottom of the fences and stuff. But at that point, it was just a maze. And they had 4 towers in each corner, and each tower had a different color flag. There was red, green, blue, and yellow. And the idea, and it had bridges that went over areas and stuff, and you couldn't see down what was underneath the bridge. So if you're trying to up there and you're trying to figure out which path you're going to go, you don't know if you've got a dead end underneath you or not, underneath the bridge. And the bridge would come on at different, you get onto the bridge from different areas and get off the bridge in different areas and that sort of stuff as well. So it was a very wide bridge with different ramps and stuff, or ramps or stairs, I can't remember which. But I've done it in 12 minutes, finding all 4 corner flags. But it was a really cool place to go. And it's the only place in New Zealand where they tell you to get lost, and they mean it. They want you to go get lost in the maze, and the goal is to find all 4 corners. And then you come out, and when you finish, you then you got to find the end, and you come out. And when I last did it, you came out into this area which had picnic tables there, and then had these beautiful big doors that were open to go into the shop area. But it was also a cafe as well. And but on the tables were all these different puzzles that you could have and the cafe was also a store where you could purchase puzzles as well. But there were puzzles laid out on all the tables, including the picnic tables outside, that you could sit down in the little courtyard, and you could sit down and play with and try and that sort of thing. Well, since I was last there, it's expanded into the Puzzling World and has a whole bunch of different new stuff there that I haven't gone and seen yet. And there's an area that you can go where they do a little movie magic on you. And if you stand in one corner and somebody stands in the other corner, you look like this, they look like this in a photograph. And then you can switch corners and that sort of thing as well. And there's all these different illusions that you can do within the area there as well. So that's in Wanaka in New Zealand. And it's a place I love sending clients to, because they come back and they go, we had so much fun there. So it's a really cool place to go. Did you know the only letter that doesn't appear in the US in any US state name is the letter Q? And now I can see some of you, you're sitting there and you're starting to go through you're trying to remember all the state names and figure out if that's right or not. Let me know when you get to the end. The word nerd was first coined by Dr. Seuss in his book, If I Ran the Zoo. The shortest war in American history was the Toledo War, fought between the states of Ohio and Michigan in 1835, and it lasted only 29 days, and no one was killed. I love that. I love the fact that there was a war and nobody died. I like that. I don't know the reason for the war. I haven't looked it up to see what the reason of the war was, but I like the fact that they had I got a dripping sound somewhere. Okay, we're going to have to figure that one out later on. And that nobody was killed. I like that result in a war. The only continent with no active volcanoes is Australia. Did you know that? Did you know the world's deepest post box or mailbox is located in Susami Bay, Japan, and is over 10 meters underwater? I thought, who would have mail delivered 10 meters? So now I've got to go find out what's in Susami Bay in Japan to find out why there is a mailbox 10 meters underwater. And the last one for tonight is the word 100 comes from an Old Norse word, hundrath, which actually means 120, not 100. And that's what we're going to. So if you have any fun facts that you want to share, please put them in the comments below, because I love fun facts and just little things, and they kind of make your mind twirl. And I like that's maybe what we'll do one day. We'll do the weird laws. There's a really cool series of books. It's called Uncle John's. What's it called? Uncle John's Bathroom Reader. It's called Uncle John's Bathroom Reader. They're about this thick, and the paperback size, but about this thick. And they are full. And if you look at the beginning at the index, it's got short, medium, long, based on how long you're going to be in the bathroom as to which ones you would read. I loved reading the ones. They always had different pages where they had weird US laws, like what state was it? Oh yes, in Alaska, it is illegal for moose to Alaska, it is illegal for moose to have sex in public. And I'm like, and who's going to arrest the moose and tell them that? And I think it was either Virginia or New Jersey. I can't remember which one, but it's illegal to slurp your soup in that state. I'm like, really? Some of these laws are absolutely hilarious. And it's sort of like, oh, I didn't know that. And some of them involve animals like the moose in Alaska. And I'm like, well, what do you do if you catch that wild animal doing whatever it is they're not supposed to be doing? And how are they supposed to know that that's the law that they are supposed to follow? I'm just like, who comes up with this stuff? So there's some crazy laws out there. And that was one of my favorite pieces to read in Uncle John's Bathroom Reader. And and they also had like weird weird lawsuits in there as well. Like a guy whose chihuahua was eaten by the next door neighbor's snake. I think it was like a python or something, or one of those big snakes that ate the next door neighbor's chihuahua. And they took them to court, and the chihuahua owner won, even though the dog had escaped his backyard and was somehow got into the enclosure where the snake was. Snake thought dinner had arrived. You can't blame the snake owner on that one when the owner of the dog was not keeping an eye on it, but the owner of the dog won that lawsuit. And I'm like, okay, that just doesn't make sense to me. But there's all sorts of fun stories out there, and some of the ridiculous suits that are brought to trial and all that sort of stuff. So if you ever get a chance to go look that stuff up, there are some hilarious ones out there. Court cases for lawsuits, crazy laws, all that sort of fun stuff. So maybe we'll do an episode on one of those one night, just for some laughs. So I hope you enjoyed the Did You Know series tonight. Out of here. Have a super fantastic sparkling evening. And we will catch you guys back here at 6 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow evening. Hey, konara. Do, 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 do.